So in today's video, I'm going to give you 5 things. 1. A complete 30-day study plan, including a detailed subject-wise breakup. 2. Some alternate plans, so you can design your own favorite plan. 3. A detailed hour-by-hour breakup of our individual study sessions, so you make the most of the limited time. Next up, you'll also get some smart study tips. And finally, at the end of the video, 5 bonus tips, including Thomas Edison's secret study tips. So, let's get going. Happy watching. Hey, this is Chetna and you're watching ChetChat. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this episode, We Expo India. They are hosting India's largest World Education Expo on August 7th, 8th, 9th, 2020 at Coimbatore, Tamil Nadu. Here, you'll get to interact with some of the world's biggest educators and get guidance on your career over the next decade. You could learn new skills and get exposure to upcoming careers. And what's more, I'll be attending the We Expo India 2020 as well, so see you there. And now, let's get down to the complete study plan to help us complete our syllabus in a short time. Now here we have 3 days for subject 1, 3 days for subject 2 and 1 day for revision. This makes a complete week, and just like this we have 4 more weeks, which gives us 8 subjects and overall 28 days. The last 2 days are for practice tests. Now I have assumed 8 subjects and 30 days. You may have more or less days or more or less subjects, and I'm going to also help you customize this plan to make it your perfect personal plan. Now let's drill down a little further. We have 3 days per subject, but what do we need to study in these 3 days? Now you know that 30 to 40% of your syllabus gets you 70 to 80% of your marks. This is the time for us to find out what is that core that gets us 70 to 80% of our marks. So day 1, first half, we're going to analyze our past papers. You may have access to 5-year papers or 10-year papers, and here are the 3 things you need to look for when you're going through those papers. The first is the paper pattern. Now look at each paper to see how does it typically start. What are the number of questions, how many multiple choice questions, how many long answer types, how many short answers. But just take a look at the entire paper pattern, and over the 10 years or 5 years, whatever you have, you will notice similarities. Now examiners are not as creative as we think they are. Chances are your paper this year would look pretty much like the papers in the previous years. The second thing you want to look at is which chapters are these questions coming from. So take your syllabus, and every time you spot a question, go and mark it against the chapter number. Now you can use codes like M for MCQs, S for short answer types, L for long answer types. And the third thing you want to look at is the mark schemes or the answer sheets. Now you want to focus on keywords, high frequency words, and also looking at the answers and the structuring. How exactly do they want that answer to be structured? How are the marks broken up between the different parameters or parts of that answer? Now, once you've finished analyzing the past papers, you will find your stress levels considerably reduced, because now you know exactly what to focus on. Day 1, second half, and day 2 entirely is for revision of those important concepts. Now later on in the video, I'm going to give you a detailed hour-by-hour timetable of how to plan these days. And day 3 is for past paper practice and for noting down all the topics that need further revision. Now repeat this pattern for all 8 subjects, and the revision day that appears, break it up into 2 halves for the 2 separate subjects. Now that broadly completes a 28-day plan for us, and before I get down to how we're going to structure those last 2 days, let me give you a smart study tip. Now we need to prioritize important topics first. Don't start doing the topics in serial order of the chapters in your textbook. Now talking about those last 2 days of revision. This is when you need to do practice papers under exam conditions at exactly the same time at which your exam is going to be conducted. Once I had an exam at 3 in the afternoon, and that was the exact time that I used to take a nap. So it's important for you on these 2 days to sit on a chair and table, keep a water bottle next to you, set a timer but keep your phone outside the room, and just cut out all distractions and complete that entire paper in one go. Now imagine you're the sort of person who doesn't like to study one subject for 3 full days. You can do half a day of one subject, half a day of another subject for all the 6 days. Alternatively, you can do subject 1 and 2 for 3 days, subject 3 and 4 for 3 days, and in the next week reverse it. Should I allocate an equal amount of time to every subject? One of the tips that I can give you is go look at your exam timetable. Sometimes we find that there's like 6 or 7 days before one particular subject and 2 subjects are back to back on the same day. The smart study tip here is that once you've allocated the number of days for a subject, stop. Don't keep doing one subject for 8 or 9 days and then discover that you have no time to study anything else. Plan number 3. What if you want to study multiple subjects on one day and you feel that's what works for you? There are typically 3 kinds of subjects. Numerical based subjects, which is typically math and physics, etc. Memory based subjects, which are biology, history, geography. Interpretation based subjects, for example, literature. Now, if I were a morning type of person, then I would do the most challenging subject first thing in the morning. I would do a numerical subject typically in the afternoon if that's the time that I tend to feel sleepy, and the memory based subjects should always be done later on in the evening just before bedtime, so that that concept stays in our subconscious mind, and while we sleep it moves from our short-term memory into our long-term memory. Now what if you're not a morning person and the time that you're the most cheerful during the day is actually the afternoon? Then I would just swap that around, and first thing in the morning when you're sleepy, I would do the numerical subjects, and in the afternoon when you're all perked up, I would do that most challenging or difficult subject, and the memory based subjects I would always keep for the evening just before going to bed. Smart study tip is to set goals for each session. Know what you want to complete. Otherwise, we could be studying for 2 hours and not achieve anything. This is crunch time. Organization is crucial, and plan is the mantra. Now we already have a video on the channel called the perfect timetable to follow before exam time. I'm going to drop a link to that under the video, but the smart study tip is to study in an 8-8-8 rule. Study for 8 hours, sleep for 8 hours, and the last 8 hours is to bathe, feed, spend time with family, exercise and relax. Now I know, I know you're thinking it's not possible, because the trouble is that we study for 12 and 14 hours a day, but we are not really focused. And a word of caution here, do not cut back on sleep, because that is going to negatively affect your performance. Now, smart study tip is to reward yourself. For every powerful hour of work, give yourself a break, take a favorite treat, and put a golden star on the planner to tell yourself that you're doing a great job. Now you're studying a lot of new material during this last period just before the exam, and the fear is that you might forget some of the earlier stuff. So what I'm going to tell you now is going to help you study the new material as well as simultaneously revise what you've studied earlier. So on day 1, spend time studying the first chunk of the most important topic. On day 2, study the second chunk of the second most important topic and go back and revise the first topic. So on till day number 5, where you finally take a test. Now I have given you day 1, day 2, day 3 as examples. You can use 2 of these slots on the same day itself. The key thing here is that while you're gaining new information, we need to go back and keep reviewing the earlier information to shift that from the short-term memory into the long-term memory. One is attitude. Now don't panic just because you have a few days left for your exams. We have the power of a great planner and a super timetable. So aim high, remain positive and stay calm. 2 is take frequent breaks. It is said that Thomas Edison, every time he encountered a difficult problem, went to sleep on his couch with a pair of heavy keys in his hand. And whenever he fell off to sleep, those keys fell to the ground and woke him up. And during that break period, his subconscious mind could work on the problem and he got many great ideas. 3 is company matters. Hang out with toppers and hardworking students and their dedication and enthusiasm will rub off on you. Bonus tip number 4 is to eat well with greens and proteins and drink a lot of water. And bonus tip number 5 is keep away from distractions. There's just 1 month remaining, so keep that phone away and don't forget to press that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it. And also give us a thumbs up because that motivates us to make more such videos for you. And happy watching!